has forced us to look at creative thinking and innovation in a completely new light now. And like you were saying, it's all about rediscovering new methods and really coming up with creative solutions. We have now been pushed from an algorithm-based learning model to a higher order skills model as far as B-school education is concerned in India. What do you think are the major lessons that has been learned from this entire experience, and what can B schools do in the direction of the future?
Yeah, that's a good question, Meghla, and my response can be in two ways. The first one, let me respond with the jargon that is required, because there's a lot of jargon loaded in your question. Uh, what it says is we need to find some solutions, algorithm-based learning. Yes, all this will have to be very successfully tapped into by leveraging technology. Algorithm-based learning will definitely give you, put your finger on the pulse of the student, how personalized it can be, how customized at least it can be, and what kind of learning outcomes that we have been able to generate. Yes, technology will definitely give all those options for us to recalibrate ourselves and make sure that we are effective in that direction. Now, the futuristic education uh, is not so much in technology as much as it in the purpose of education. I think what Mr. Sinha was mentioning, there is a lesson there, not just in entrepreneurship, not just in the outcome, but also in the input. We very quickly get romanticized by technology. And then technology is very often, I have said this earlier also, and I'm saying this now, technologies are often designed without the user kept in mind, or without the user kept in the center. For example, several edutech organizations have created products, uh, apps. They've created platforms and systems which are supposedly very useful to uh, the education system. But this was all before pandemic. At least 90% of them were way off the mark, because none of these organizations had ever consulted the teachers, the teaching community, the people who were actually teaching right there, sitting in front of the students, standing in front of the students, to give some inputs about the architecture of that particular platform. Everything was based on an intelligent guess. And obviously, none of these people who were teaching were making technologies, and none of these tech enthusiasts ever taught. So the gap was always there. But then, what was the missing point, and what the education institutions will have to understand, even the industry will have to understand, is where has that power of collaboration gone? The two worlds remain two worlds if they don't come together. And if they do come together, they would have created a third world, so to say. The third new, much needed world that we have to create. So do not romanticize so much about technology. I think we need to constantly check developing solutions with those people who are in the forefront of delivery, and they should be the architects of technology, and others, all our friends in technology, most of us will have to be partners in putting it together and then offering it as a solution so that it works. A lot of technology management has given us a leaf or two to understand that yes, it is always technologies developed like that, but in reality, it is not. I have seen many edutech companies scorning at academics, at vice chancellors, at teachers, that these people don't understand it. Yes, there is always a lag between industry and academia. Industry is always little ahead. But if you are developing products for this customer base, that is academia, you will have to step back, or you will have to pull them forward. You will have to collaborate in simple language. Now, if that collaboration is missing, then our fundamentals of technology management is missing, and fundamentals of education itself is missing there. I think that is a huge lesson that we all have to learn. And pandemic does not give you, or the last 2 years has not given you any breathing time to correct some of these things. But I'm sure those companies which are organizing themselves very well and doing very well, they have realized it and then reinvented themselves in terms of productizing, product design, and also incorporating key people into their architecture of the technology. That is the first response. The second response is that it is so much to do with uh, relationships, so much to do with bonding. It is so much to do uh, with learning from peers. Now, in the parameters that we are designing, if we can incorporate these, it is difficult, but if you can incorporate these three important objectives into your algorithms, I think yes, to some extent we will do, but it is very difficult. Now, as I was mentioning in the previous response, the principal flaw lied in the fact that you are all sitting in front of me and I'm going to teach you. That's a major thing that we have to observe. Now, if we dismantle that proposition, now what percentage of your curriculum? This is the creative solution. Actually, every institution will have to grapple with. What percentage of curriculum will you make it asynchronous, and what percentage of curriculum will you make synchronous? And then what percentage of curriculum will make one-on-one? You don't have to have everything one-on-one. I think on one-on-one, the objectives will have to be on learning from peers, experiential learning, bonding, camaraderie, things like that. And most of the general stuff that we create can be asynchronous, and some of the peer learning can be also be part of the synchronous things, and some inspiration from teachers can always be there. But the industry involvement in the learning part of our education is a major factor. I would go one step forward, and I'm sure Mr. Sinha will agree with me that entrepreneurship, it is generally said that in the parlance of army, that everyone should go to army. They get the training of army and then they get into working in industry. To pick up a lesson from there, everyone should become an entrepreneur first, bringing an idea to life. If that particular principle is followed, students while in the college, while studying, they can bring several ideas to life in their own small way, big way. There are incubators, there are several mentors available. I think we should make a very serious attempt. If you have come with a good business idea and you have also taken it to life to some extent, maybe an infant, I'm sure you would have understood what business is all about. And later, when you graduate, you can either work for yourself or work for others. But what you would have templated is the fact that you're a risk taker and you have a great sense of ownership, which define entrepreneurship in my view. I think that is what it is. Everyone should become an entrepreneur. Everyone should be very thoroughly, necessarily encouraged to become an entrepreneur. I think that is my suggestion on the second side of, or the second response to your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhakar. So I think this is definitely giving us a